Welcome to Onesies, a podcast of one season wonders, blunders, and ABC delights. I'm Andrew.
Hi, my name is Emily.
And we are working our way through Joe's Life, a 1993 sitcom from the American Broadcasting Company,
Ooh,
starring Peter Onorati as Joe Gennaro, Mary Page Keller as his
suffering wife.
except she's not. She's his blessed wife. She's blessed with that manliness in her life.
Yeah.
You need to think of a term for that. Stockholm syndrome. And yeah, so we are on episode
5.
5. We're
Halfway. Woo.
And this episode is entitled, I don't know, Don't Date My Daughter, Date Me. What's
The
it called?
Bad Influence.
Oh, wow. But it's not. It's not at all about a bad influence.
I mean, it kind of is.
Okay. We'll get there, folks. Oh, we also need the guest star list because
Are there guest stars?
there's
the guy. Yeah, I guess.
the guy.
The bad influence.
The bad
The
influence.
titular bad influence.
The bad influence this episode is played by
Alexander Polinsky.
Oh, wow. That is not a name I am familiar with in any way, shape, or form.
No, but he grew into that face. He's much more attractive as an older person.
Is. Look at him. He's
got nice hair that I want to ruffle.
Oh, wow. He looked quite dorky on Charles in Charge.
Oh boy.
He is a voice actor now, it appears, and a producer of Please Be a Christian Movie, Please Be a Christian Movie, Please Be a Christian Movie. Oh, God. It's even dorkier. It's about a fitting sequel to the electric Kool-Aid test.
Oh, Jesus. What a
It's
nerd.
about them being on the bus. 50 years later, 1,500 miles. What a trip. Onesies season 11. Oh, God, and Andrew Keegan's in it. That dude sucks. All right, moving on.
The cult leader? Isn't he the cult leader one?
Andrew Keegan have a cult? That's fucking sad, man.
Yeah, and I think so. Yeah, I think he's the one in Santa Monica. Yeah. We walked past it. They like bought a church and painted it and had sex with pretty girls. You know.
I mean, what
like
else are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Brother. Okay, so Andrew Keegan is not in this episode of
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry,
got
we're off track. Okay, so yes, what are your 3 things? You wrote them down.
I did take notes.
Okay.
I'd like to talk about the opening sequence, just like in general, as one long joke. Tag is what I have written down. I would like to talk about male bonding and persons of shell.
You knew I was going to take that.
Oh, did I? I didn't.
It's fine. Was that 3?
That was 3.
Okay.
I can give you persons of shell and take something else.
Fine.
Okay.
It's fine. You've got that covered. Oh, God. So very cool. Okay. That's also sort of male bonding, but we'll do that. Oh, yeah. You didn't cover the subplot. Let Sandy rot. And out back we'll talk about some production design stuff, because who knew this season would be all about how much I miss Dracula the series.
And you thought it couldn't get worse. Okay, so the opening sequence is Sandy and what's her name?
Barb,
Mimi Kennedy's character, in the laundry room talking about how Barb and Stan are updating their will.
Yes.
And Sandy has no interest in talking about death.
Do you ever think about death, y'all? Just mic drop. No. Yes, that's good that we're not a minute in and I'm like, do I want to see the Barbie movie? I kind of do, based on the choices I make in life. It can't be worse than this choice. We saw the preview for Oppenheimer, by the way. Wow. It's so weird that, sorry folks, it's a tangent episode. It's so weird that Cillian Murphy finally got his $350 million epic, and I'm like, he looks really bad in that, it's him and Matt Damon. It's a Matt Damon doing a really broad performance as a
really.
And then it's Cillian Murphy doing an American poorly. So it looks great, is what I'm saying. But anyway,
do you see that in the theater? The preview?
Oh yes, I saw the preview in the theater.
That's right.
I would not have chosen to watch the preview for it.
I don't know.
If you want to Venmo me $45, I will watch the preview for Oppenheimer once per person per $45. No. Okay, so we'll be talking about this on Threads, everyone. That's what we're recording. Okay.
Instead of me posting pictures of my feet every day, which is apparently what I'm doing.
The internet should be fun, remember? It should be fun. Okay. And easier than signing up for an instance that's going to defederate Threads. Okay. All right.
So they're talking about
death.
They're talking about death. Sandy's not interested.
Nope.
Barb wants to keep talking about it. In this dialogue, it is revealed that Sandy and Joe get the cutlery. They get...
Oh, God, you made the list. Yes.
I didn't make the list.
Okay.
But they also, just sprinkled in there is Leo, their ne'er-do-well son. And this is a great scene for Mimi Kennedy, even though it's a little problematic. She makes jokes about not wanting her kid, about how...
Okay, number one, that's accurate. If Fuck Nugget's parents want him right now, they're complicit, right? Accessories after the fact. So I can understand not wanting Danny Masterson.
I'm just waiting for the divorce to be announced. Oh, God, I want her to divorce him so bad.
Who's he married to again?
Bijou Phillips.
Oh, God. Oh, little crossover. We didn't talk about that. You never mentioned that when you talked about how much you liked her either.
I've never talked about Bijou Phillips.
Isn't she the one from Freaks and Geeks?
Bijou Phillips is John Phillips's daughter from The Mamas and the Papas. China Phillips' sister.
Oh, who's the one from Freaks and Geeks?
Oh, Busy Phillips. Busy, not Bijou. Different. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't know with white women. I'm sorry.
Ooh. All those white blonde women confuse you.
Okay.
So anyway, she makes some problematic joke about how, her son, she made a joke about not wanting her kid, and Sandy says, "Oh, but didn't you say that, you didn't want him or something?" And she goes, "Oh, well, that was at a time in his life when he expected me to do everything for him." And then way to beat. And then, infants can be so horrible or something. And it was like, it was funny, but it was also not.
Barb is really complicit in Joe's shitting on the kids thing. And so this is kind of what, there were never kids on Seinfeld, right? Yeah. There's never an episode where they all babysit kids and talk about how much they fucking suck, because there's only so far you can take this. And ABC took it this far before they got bought by Disney. But I mean, this is kind of Roseanne sort of kicked off this idea that you would make fun of your kids in a way that was that, but the joke, she was in on the joke. There were multiple layers to it. Like we don't need to talk about Roseanne probably being a really good sitcom that just
we can't watch anymore.
We can't watch anymore.
Yeah.
Every episode guest stars Woody Allen. It's really fucking weird. Who knew? Okay, so and Mel Gibson. Moving.
So this whole introduction, I thought the will thing was just going to go away because it just seemed like a never-ending joke, like a comedian on stage making a joke about making a will, and then tagging for 90 seconds. It was weird. I didn't like it, but I feel like this is a running theme in this show, is that
it's weird and you don't like it.
That it's weird and I don't like it, but it's just like
they have a really bad structure. Yeah, they have a really bad structure. And we're going to get to that again with the end titles. This one too, where they resolve this subplot that is starting. But Paulie and Joe come in with Paulie holding his head and Joe getting him some ice or peas or whatever out of the freezer. And they're like, what happened? And Joe's like, shh. And Paulie's like, Dad hit me on, closed the garage door on my head.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So this is the thing where Sandy says, oh, we will just trust us. We'll treat Leo like one of our own. And then again, tag it with Joe bringing the kid in, not caring that he just closed the garage door on this kid's head and minimizing it over and over, running the kid into a coffee table, on the way, like off screen. And it's like, and what does she say? What does she say, Mimi Kennedy? Like, oh, well, forget that. You guys can't have our patio furniture.
Yeah.
And it's like,
handle furniture.
God.
Yes. It's very, very shitty. Okay. So
have you ever met anybody in real life who hated their kids that much? Because I have.
That talked to me about it?
Yeah.
No, I try not to associate with parents. I mean,
fair enough. It's disturbing. It's disturbing. I've met people in real life who are like, kids are the worst, never have children. And it's like, you have two adorable kids. And they're like, no, they suck. They suck the joy out of everything. And it's like, ha ha, no, I'm not joking. And it's like, whoa, okay. Cool.
Yeah,
maybe go talk to a therapist.
There are some times that people have said things to me and you're just like, oh, you just sit around all the time wishing you didn't have this family.
Yeah. It's disturbing. So I think I'm being re-traumatized.
That's what Joe's life is all about, baby. It's all about how bad your kids are. Just relentlessly too.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything like Free Spirit was at least about the dad loving his kids so much he was going to help them rape and murder teenage girls.
And that he wanted them to have a nanny to take care of them.
Yes,
help take care of them.
Magic away the bodies. But this is the, that show is about raising Brock Turners. This show is just about raising straight up
Danny Mastersons.
Yeah. Okay. But now we are getting into the quote unquote A plot of the episode, where we get back from commercial and Leo and Joe and Josh are hanging out in the garage.
Yes.
And Joe and Josh, who has not had any lines yet, and I was desperate for this kid not to get any lines, and for it to be like an unpaid, like a just lengthy, no SAG card for you, fucker. But anyway, Leo is goofing off and playing the air guitar using his tennis
racket. Ugh.
If it was possible to feel empathy for Danny Masterson being in a shitty sitcom, this kind of would have done it. But then then I saw his little thing around his neck, his little hippie rapist thing around his neck. And I was like, fuck that guy. Yeah, nope, that's exactly who he is.
No, but any young actor in this role I would feel sorry for having to jump and dance around doing that garbage.
Oh, yeah.
It was bad.
It's real bad. And so Leo Palooza, does that mean Lollapalooza started before 93?
No, it didn't.
Come on, where's the fucking wiki? Ugh. 1991.
Oh, I didn't know that.
See? this is like
we're learning all sorts of new
we're just
things.
learning all sorts of things about how dumb the 90s were that we've either forgotten or we're too young to appreciate.
Do not talk shit about anything related to Perry Farrell, or I will come after you.
Who's Perry Farrell? What?
Oh my god. Okay.
Who's Perry Farrell?
Perry Farrell is in Jane's Addiction, and he's the one who started Lollapalooza.
Well,
Corner for Pyros, Jane's Addiction. Oh, never mind. Okay.
I was a boy. I'm sorry.
So I'm cooling myself off
boy.
here.
I wasn't a goth boy. I'm sorry. Do you want to talk to me about the Pet Shop Boys next?
Oh yeah, let's talk about the
Exactly. Exactly.
Is that goth?
No.
Okay.
No, but it's goth boy stuff. Girls have a wider variety of things that only goth boys ever listen to. Anyway, it's fine. We don't generalize on this show.
I didn't realize that Porno for Pyros or Jane's Addiction was a goth thing.
For boys.
Okay.
There's very limited potential clicks for young men to join in.
Speaking of clicks for young men, they're fixing Leo's car.
Okay, we're back
having
to the
some
episode,
male
folks.
bonding time.
Male bonding time. Paulie and Scotty Jeter nowhere to be seen.
Yes, they are not. They are not in this club yet.
They probably missed a chance to make fun of Paulie's hair or something. But anyway, so Leo talks about. Leo's like, well, Joe's like, you're not even helping, Leo. And Leo's like, well, what do you want me to do? And he's like, start it up. And it doesn't start. And they're like, well, how'd you get it here? And he was like, Josh hotwired it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're running into some continuity issues right here because, well, first of all, if the car doesn't start, you can't hotwire it unless you've got some weird problem with the key fob, the ignition cylinder, I'm sure. I don't know. Car talks off the air. We can't ask. R.I.P.
That's the most old man thing you could reference car talk. I loved it. I love car talk. But I'm appreciating that you mentioned that. So hot wiring the car. I'm writing this down because they call him a bad influence, right?
You're trying. This is the
and I'm trying to pinpoint the behaviors that make him a bad influence.
Very good. So I will tell the tale. So as they can't do this, we also get into the car's been there for 3 weeks. So
in Joe's garage.
In Joe's garage. You would think so. This has been taking place on weekends during episodes we've already seen. Such a layered tale. But Leo then tells this story about how Josh can hotwire cars. Mm-hmm. And he has a great story about how the chemistry teacher was mean to Leo or to Josh. So Josh stole his car and moved it somewhere. And it was super funny. But now Josh
got towed and the guy was really mad about it. But now Josh is not expelled.
He's in detention
forever.
And so Leo's like, that's so cool. And Joe's just like giving him a look. And he's like, but it's very wrong. And so Joe's like, it's okay, though. I was 16 once. I remember what it was like to be an idiot. Cool. So then Leo offers to go get sodas for everyone. And he does like come back with a soda. It's very strange.
Yeah. Like, so everyone's giving him shit because he's not actually doing anything to help. And so Joe decides to, I don't know, ruffle his feathers a little bit, saying, can you look at this and tell me what's wrong? And Leo looks, and then he's like, I'm just going to go get everybody sodas instead. So Leo doesn't know anything about cars.
No.
Which means that Stan has not taught him.
This is also theoretically the car that Stan took away a few episodes ago, too.
Oh, yeah.
We are really falling behind on our continuity with this. So then we get some bonding between Joe and Josh over airline engines.
Yes.
And Josh talks about how one of his stepdads because it's his loose mom's fault because she can't keep a good man in her life.
Right. So this is another behavior that makes him a bad influence.
Shouldn't be a friend with somebody who's
has a step parent.
We learned that on Freaks and Geeks too, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's Hey, I gave Canada Joe Flaherty a lot of shit on that show when he was a bad dad. It was a lot better that he was doing that in 1979 than fucking Peter Onorati doing it in 93. Okay. So then Joe's rebuilding an airplane. It's the first time we've heard about that. This is
first
episode 5.
Who's he repairing it with? Not with Stan.
Some dude. Some
Not with any character that we've come into contact with.
I foresee this will never return to these.
It'll never return.
But also, we forgot to mention Joe's got a full mechanics jumpsuit. He's got his full Michael Myers on right here. Yeah. Okay. So, we also get to talk about highbrow humor. I should have marked that. But then, can I come see your airplane sometime, Mr. Gennaro? Call me Joe. Of course you can.
Yeah.
You're so much cooler than my kids.
So much cooler than my kids. So much cooler than my nephew. Because you're really interested in this stuff that I'm interested in. And that's cool. Now, I can say this. This is a great opportunity for this kid who may or may not have a good male role model in his life because he has a stepdad. We all know that stepdads are horrible. To make a connection with an adult. And I think, again, I was worried about this episode. I think that is a positive thing that could have come out of this episode. It didn't, but it could have.
There could have been a whole thing about Amy getting into car shit. There could have been, the episode could have ended with Amy and Josh going for Joe driving them on their first date in an airplane. With stock footage from Wings. It would have been fine. But that's not the show we're
That's not the show.
We're on ABC. Sorry, folks. Okay. So Leo comes in with a whole fucking tray of snacks. Like he went to a fucking A&W root beer in 1959. They bicker some more. I didn't write down their bickering because I was like, we're not. Oh, it's the you wish you dream. No, that's a different one. I wrote it. Smell me, scratch me, sniff me is their talk. And I was like, we actually can't make fun of it because Danny Masterson was doing it. So it can't even be like a joke of a bit. But that's the level we're at. We're not anywhere near as tough as The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Even though this is a network show that hates its kids more than Married with Children. So this is where Joe refers to them as McNeil Lear, which I thought was funny.
I didn't catch that.
Do you not get the reference or did you not hear him say it?
I didn't hear it say it and I don't get the reference.
The News Hour with Jim, with those guys. I don't remember. It's from 19. You were too young, Emily. You were listening to Jane's Addiction at the time.
Ask me about Jane's Addiction when we're done.
To heroin. Okay. Oh, this show would be so much better if they were all on heroin.
You realize that the band was named after his roommate at one point who was addicted to heroin.
Of course it was. It's like what's that other one that it's all about heroin? The better one. Not the better one. The other one. I Need You in My Arms. What's that one?
I don't know. Dexy's Midnight Runners.
No, is it The Cure? Probably The Cure.
Oh,
or is it Depeche Mode? I don't know. One of the two. Whichever one does this song that sounds like the Return of Swamp Thing music. I saw one of them. I had to go. It's fine. But it's all about heroin too. And then Sublime. Oh, hold on. Okay. So, the wife beater's coming up. Okay.
I have that written down. Oh my God. Sports Fest.
But first, we've got Amy coming in and they're like she and Josh have a
little insult throwing contest, which is how you know they have a crush on each other. Because that's how teenagers communicate when they have crushes on each other.
That's right. It's healthy, Emily.
Sure.
You wish you dream. And then somebody's like, we're working out here. Do you need anything, girl?
Stupid girl.
And then Amy's like, Mom said to come out here and ask you if you know what time it is. And Joe's like, I know what time it is. And Amy's like, okay, well, because the last time you said that, you were still late for work.
Yeah.
And so Joe is going to go
get changed to go to work.
And he's going to drive Leo over. But Josh is going to stay and work on the car by himself.
Which is weird.
A little weird.
But if they've been doing it for 3 weeks, maybe it's fine.
It would be less weird if... Does Mary Page Keller even have a scene with... No.
Nope.
So if Mary Page Keller had some interaction with Josh other than her not liking him, which comes up in the next scene.
For no reason, yeah.
For no reason. This is when Joe is changing for work and Peter Onorati is showing off his guns in his
sports vest.
Sports vest? Is that the only acceptable term for that outfit? Okay.
White tank top. Because you don't say wife beater, Andrew.
Every other thing that I know to call it is really offensive. So
a sports vest.
A sports vest.
But it is a wife beater. I'm using finger quotes. It's cut really low, but not... It's cut really low.
Fit. You want to see that, Emily?
Do
obviously. I can't.
Speaking of things like this,
I'm not going to police your sexuality.
Please don't.
As you sexually harass me.
My husband wanted me to. What can I do?
It's okay then.
I have to do what he says.
You actually do. That's what this show is about. But then again, so was Chess Game.
Fair enough.
All right. So Sandy talks to Joe about how they need to update their will. We haven't done it since 1984, which doesn't matter. But that's before Scott was born.
Yes.
And then we've forgotten that Scott has a subplot where he's gluing stuff to his hands.
Right. So his little bit, since every character has to have their little thing in every episode, is that he's making model airplanes, model cars, something.
Model
doesn't
dinosaurs
matter. So model dinosaur. So he's got glue all over himself and keeps sticking things to his hands. At one point, I think in the opening, right? He turns around to walk away and he's got his sister's bra glued to his back, which was gross and reminded me again of Free Spirit. Yeah, it's really weird. And but
about girls, Scotty Jean.
The one joke that he has that is funny is, well, at least I didn't stick my finger up my nose this time, which is funny to think about a little kid who can't get his finger out of his nose. Also, a great way to remove all of that unwanted hair. That's all I have about that, because I don't know when it comes up again, except that he's upstairs working on something and he calls down for his brother to help him.
And he gets his hand stuck to him, but we'll probably miss it when we get there because it's a throwaway.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's something about Scott wouldn't be in the will, and then Amy makes a joke about, is Amy there? Or
she overhears them and she comes in and says, so if Scott's not in the picture, then that means I get everything. But she's interrupted by Joe, who says, yes, you get to inherit the Gennaro family debt.
Yes, it's a good way.
The American dream.
Yes. The episode where we find out Joe's taking out credit cards in the kids' names. Okay, so then Josh wants to borrow the lug wrench.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe's like, yeah, that's fine. And Sandy's like, that's weird. Why are you lending him your good lug wrench? And he's like, my lug wrench for dinner parties? And this is shitty and sexist, but it's also like, it's not wrong. Like there's a way to do this okay, and it'd be kind of funny, but it's fucked up the way.
It seems so. It's completely fine that he's asking to borrow the lug wrench. He's asking through Amy, which is kind of weird. Kind of makes it seem like Josh isn't allowed in the house, which could very well be.
Right.
But the fact that she gets all up in arms about a fucking tool that cost $10.
Right. And well, not in 1993.
Well, yeah.
Probably cost $85. Made with good Michigan steel. Thank you very much, USA.
But It's a weird bone for her to pick.
Yes.
Except that it lends itself to the discussion about how he's a bad kid. And I don't trust him and I don't like him and I don't know what it is. I've watched enough true crime to know that if you don't know what it is, it's either nothing or he's a serial killer. It's one of the two things. It's no in between.
She was having an affair with him. It ended poorly. She doesn't want him in the house.
He was a substitute teacher who had an affair with him.
He's one of the teenage boys, friends of Leo's, who was like, that's how she knows Josh. She's like, Josh says...
We expected last week that after reading the synopsis of this episode, that was going to be the case, that he was going to be hounding around her.
Mom. Yeah. But no, this show's not that good. Okay, so... Then this is where she says Barb told me he was suspended for cutting classes. So he's a bad boy.
Oh, I have to add that to my list.
Yes, you need to add that to your list. And so they're still talking about the will as he gets going to work. And think about it at work. Joe's like, I'm not going to get remarried. It's fine. She's like, you can get remarried. You just can't ever have sex again.
Gross.
And he's like, okay. And then they were talking about pulling the plug, and Joe can't pull the plug on Sandy. He would just let her rot, brain dead. And she goes,
"Oh, that's so sweet."
Because he still owns her, like Matrix comes along, and they need to like use back of the brain power.
If she's still alive, then it's not a crime to have sex with her, is it?
That's a good point. It's not necrophilia if she's still alive. So there you go. Sex is okay. Okay. So then he makes this is another one that should be funny, but isn't. What if we leave up plug pulling to the kids, but wait till they're older, because right now they'd be too eager. Joe tried to kill Paulie with the garage door subconsciously earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. We cut to Gennaro's restaurant, where the white car is still in the parking lot, which is not Ray's car. It's just what's in the terrible mock-up they did of this exterior restaurant.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Every time I see it, it's like, ugh.
If you turned this in high school, maybe in 93 it'd be okay, but not in art class. But if you turn this in like in 98 or something, they'd just be like, did you even try? Did you even try with this?
It's really bad.
Yeah. ABC. So, the old guy makes fun of his wife being a disgusting lobster eater. It's lobster night, everybody. So this is where your persons of shell comes in, because Ray has become attached to some of the lobsters.
He doesn't want to eat them, which made me wonder if he was vegetarian or vegan or something.
He doesn't want to
early
drop them
adopter.
into boiling water.
He doesn't want to drop them into boiling water. And he names one Mikey.
Mike.
He ropes Joe into some sympathy here by describing, they have little personalities, and I prefer to refer to them as persons of shell.
So for 93, that's kind of okay.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
If I heard it today, I would be a little more put off.
Yes, because they're definitely
mocking
people of color.
Yeah.
But in 93, we're 2 to 3 years after Afro-American stopped being the thing. 93, I was 15. So, because I lived through the Native American change in middle school, where one year I came back and everything had changed. So, yeah, we're pretty early, and this is not a thing that it's not a dog whistle joke.
It still made me uncomfortable.
It did, because it's 30 years later, Emily.
Yeah, I know.
30 years.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
I can't believe I'm not 12 anymore.
I can't wait for Danny Masterson to go to prison as an old man. Oh, he's going to get out when he's fucking 76 years old or something. So Joe is like, okay, you're right. We're not going to kill Mike right now.
And so they find somebody else to kill.
Yeah.
They find another lobster to kill.
Yeah. And so Leo comes in and asks Stan for a big favor that's worth a hug, I noticed. He wants to borrow Stan's car to go on a double date to the motocross. And Stan is like, who are you going with? And he's like, Josh. And Stan's like, I respect your honesty, but no.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, there we go. And then
Joe is like, why won't you let him go do stuff with Josh? And then there's this whole thing about how I don't like Josh. He's a bad influence, blah, 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 blah. And again, we have a list of 4 things that he has done. And Joe keeps doing this. We've forgot to mention that Joe keeps like, oh, he reminds me of me when I was young. When I was 16, really I did dumb shit. Yeah. And so he pulls that on Stan, and Stan's like, oh, you're right. You can't hang out with Leo either. Waka waka.
I mean, not a bad point. So then you shouldn't be picking out your friend's kids, Stan. And here's a chance to be a hero to your kid.
Yeah.
So then Stan calls Leo back in, tells him he's changed his mind. Who gets the hug? Joe.
And Stan says, you're right. I feel all warm and fuzzy inside now.
Yep. This show is about watching a bunch of people without comic timing. No,
that was funny. That was funny. That was funny.
Hey, you've never said that to me before. I think it'll be the title of the episode.
That was funny.
Okay.
Nice work.
All right. So it was intentional. I'm reading it off a script. All right. So, yeah, but it's George Descend, or is that his name?
Yeah.
Yes. George DeCenzo and Peter Onorati. George DeCenzo's got better timing than Peter Onorati. George DeCenzo's timing is still terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their comic timing is awful.
Yeah.
Mary Page Keller is not, I mean, her timing's better, but she's not, like, very good.
She's not a comedy actress. She's not a comic actress. Mimi Kennedy, the only one who can pull it off. But everything Keller, she does is problematic.
Yes. Is this era's version of a comic actress. You have to think about that. She is a sitcom reliable. Like, that's why she's in this. Yeah, she was the sitcom girlfriend wife for years. And this is like, yeah. So it's very indicative of the era and how bad it was.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we have Joe and Stan talking about the will stuff. And would Stan pull the plug on Joe? And Stan's like, fuck yes, I would. And Joe's like, but I'm your little brother. So actually, it's kind of like Joe is the youngest child that was spoiled grown up.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. Which is sort of would be interesting in a better show.
I find it fascinating that he's having this conversation with his wife, with his brother, and he doesn't like, he doesn't actually care about the answer, except that the answer is what he wants it to be, which is no, I would never kill you.
Yeah, because he's a child. Like, he's Scotty Jean grown up, basically.
He's just a little brain and a big body.
Yeah. I mean, it's
really fucked up that he doesn't even think like, oh my God, what a relief that I wouldn't be suffering, wasting space, wasting whatever. It's weird.
The silliest thing about this show is that they don't have him be a major, like, conservative douchebag.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. And that's like kind of what American Dad, like, unlocked that.
Yeah.
Not that Seth MacFarlane is incredibly problematic, but he's not stupid.
I still would.
Joe's Life relaunch with Seth MacFarlane in nothing but, sorry, what was it? Fashion vests?
Show tunes.
Show tunes.
Show tunes, yes, and sports fests.
Sports fest. He sings to his wife after he manipulates her. That's our show, everybody. Okay. So then they walk out and we get our Barb and Joe scene because they finally realize that they need the two of them together because everything else is inert.
One thing I noticed about the show too is that Barb and Stan rarely ever talk to each other.
Nope. Because they
never interact.
The pilot was kind of the one. And then did she come in and walk past him that episode where she was waitressing?
Maybe. But they never really talk. No. They never have a conversation. It's weird.
Yes. I mean, you don't think about this at the time and you don't think about it maybe just in general with network shows. We've started paying a lot more attention to television lately, right? Starting whenever, The Sopranos probably, but that era is really when people really start paying attention to television, and it's not just dismissive. But you have to figure that working with these people, sometimes they just really don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's like compensating and it just sucked. Right. Well, we know it sucked because it was 1993 ABC and Tim Allen was showing his dick to everybody he could over on Home Improvement because he's a Christian.
Like a good Christian man.
So, yes, we walk out on Barb and I could see this whole scene coming. And every joke on this seems like I would have been more okay if the show were from 1986, kind of. But she's, doing lovey talk to Davy the lobster, which ends with her going, "All right, bye, Davy," and she dubs him in the boiling water.
It's also a little bit of character development for her, right? It's continuing that thread of her being sarcastic, kind of smarmy, heartless.
Show would be really funny if the last episode, the unaired 11th episode, which we will be not see. Atomic Chiming, which we will not be watching, folks, was about Joe helping Leo commit some sort of a crime, not the obvious one. Barb finding out and then killing both of them and getting away with it at the end.
And feeding meat pies to people in the restaurant.
that old waiter drops dead. It's Barb killing everybody off for the wives.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. There, that's the better show.
Let's write that.
McFarlane can be in.
There's a strike.
That's right. What ChatGPT can write it for us.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Josh wants to come in. Oh, wow. Okay. We need to find a show that does not have so much to say about the state of entertainment too, because we're still not to the next commercial break.
I know. This is
here we go. Josh wants to come in and talk to Leo. Stan's like, "Oh, fuck that future felon. He sucks." And he's like, "Yeah, you're just hanging out with your kid." And so they go through the back and they talk about who Josh is taking to the motocross. It's Leo and Josh. And Leo's like, "Is Megan that desperate?" And Josh is like, "No, I'm taking your cousin Amy." And Leo's like, "Really?" And Josh is like, "Yeah, she's cute." And so Stan thinks it's hilarious and is like, "So long, Joshy." And then Joe's made a face. And then Stan looks at him and goes, "Senior Loser is dating your daughter." And Joe says, "Bite me." And we get a laugh track.
Ugh.
And so there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
There is Joe having to deal with some boy I like wants to fuck my teenage daughter.
Yeah.
He wants to
I was a teenage boy once, as I keep mentioning in this episode. I know what his intentions are.
But also
everyone's been talking shit about this teenager the entire episode.
It's Joe's whole character at this point is defending this kid who wants to take his daughter his younger than him daughter to motocross. We don't even
a year though, right?
Okay.
I don't know.
They can drive. I think she's 14.
I think she's 15.
Okay. So Now we get to totally reverse Sandy's thing because she's a lady. And so we come back from commercial. Joe and Sandy are talking.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's not happy. Amy likes this boy, Sandy says. And then it's just this
she's going to do it whether we want her to or not.
So let's just support her. And what happened to trust me, he's a good kid? What about the benefit of the doubt? Now, mind you, the amount of gossip around Josh at this point, I feel like if Josh was Danny Masterson, people would be talking about it. But he's just a juvenile delinquent. He's not a there's no reason to think he's a sexual predator. It's just being classist.
He hotwired a car. Yes. So all of these crimes, cutting class. A lot of kids cut class.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great thing, but certainly doesn't mark somebody for a life.
When he
has a stepmother.
Yep. No, he has a stepfather.
Oh, stepfather. I'm sorry.
His mother can't keep a man.
He stole a teacher's car after hotwiring it. These are just like...
That was an elaborate prank.
That was an elaborate
prank. Actually go joyriding in it.
Yeah.
It was like they were very specific that he only moved it a couple blocks or into a no parking zone or something.
These aren't things that are signs. He's not apparently not using drugs. I mean, this could be a very special episode, right? Where Amy comes home drunk, not sure what happened to her, right? But it's not that.
No.
He's just maybe a kid from the wrong side of the tracks, right? Yeah. Right? Maybe I immediately, when I hear bad influence, I'm like, oh, this is a classist thing, right?
Yeah. This is really just a classist.
Yeah. Oh, I lost you.
It shouldn't. Oh,
I lost you for a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we went through this on Freaks and Geeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
But it wasn't so explicit, at least in Freaks and Geeks, like, again, that was an hour or a 52-minute TV show, and it was a dramedy, and you could kind of explore the characters a little bit more. So you saw James Franco's character being bad, having sex, doing drugs, doing these things that parents are afraid their kids are going to do. We don't see any of that. We don't see this kid's home life.
No.
And if they're going to motocross, like, I mean, that's nothing I would be interested in doing. But if I had a kid and my kid wanted to go, I wouldn't be like, ew, don't.
Right. Like, okay, like, it could be a lot worse.
Could be a lot worse.
They're not sneaking into the city to go see Jane's Addiction.
I never did that.
You didn't live next to New York City. Okay, so... Now you can go see Jane's Addiction play at a lawn, and you can sit on a lawn and drink your mock TDs or your hard seltzers and
feel White Claw.
Drink your White Claw and feel really it's just like wow, oh, rock and roll didn't die, but it sure did something. Okay, so this is where Polly is running around with an embarrassing picture of Amy.
Right. This gave me Free Spirit vibes too.
Yes. Except at the end of this, Winnie would have taken away Polly's penis with a... He'll find out in a few years. His balls are never going to drop. But yes, so it's before she got her retainer, and he wants to show it to Josh, so Josh knows not to date her because his kids could look like that.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up. This is the scene where if Joe just started beating the shit out of Polly, it would have been like, this is really problematic, but his heart's in the right place.
I mean, it is really awful. That's an awful thing to say.
But an awfuler thing to be doing, because he's not making a joke about it. They're not looking at family picture books together and he makes the joke. This is his plan. He's been planning this for however long since he saw this picture last, knowing that when she has a boy come over, he can try to humiliate his sister, who, as far as we have seen, has not been too bad to him. Yeah. Like, there's not...
Like, they don't like each other. It's definitely a sitcom sibling relationship where
but it's not episode frequent bullying like it's him and the little brother.
It's not screaming. It's not beating each other. It's nothing like that. It's literally just, he's annoying me. Make him stop annoying me.
Okay. So then Leo gets there. And this is where Scott goes up to help with the Paulie goes up to help with the model, and he gets stuck to Scott. Waka waka. Okay, Leo gets there. Where's Josh? He's not coming. He's sick.
And there's this very belabored thing, like Danny Masterson's like leaning in like he's sick. He's really sick. The kind of sick where you just can't get out of bed. Like really, like I can see that lean in, and Joe's gets it. He's not sick. He's just not coming. And plays along until Amy's like, hey, I'm not a fucking idiot. He's standing me up.
Yeah.
I get it.
So Amy goes and sits down next to Mom.
I'm going to say this, though. There's a pleasant exchange between Amy and Leo where he's like, you know, you can still come with us. Yes. Like, he's not going to be there. You can still come. We can still have fun. She's like, no, that's fine. Go have fun with your friends. So she sits down on the couch. Mom and Joe are trying to console her. This is, I think, when Paulie and Scotty come down with the hand on the head, and Mom has to go up and find the nail polish remover to get the super glue off of his head, I guess.
Whatever.
And Joe and Amy have a nice little scene.
She needs to go upstairs and drink it. It's the only booze she's got left in the house.
Joe and Amy have this pleasant scene again where she sort of her veneer cracks a little bit and she starts crying because she got stood up.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of sweet.
And Joe,
puts his arm around her.
This is where, if this weren't a show about a shitty narcissist, wait, that is all sitcom dads. I don't know. Whatever the difference is, if this were a show about a shitty narcissist who wants to emotionally abuse his kids intentionally, this is where the episode would end. This is what it would have been about. We would have been following up on the bonding that we started seeing last episode. Yeah. But it's a shitty show, so we instead cut to the restaurant, where they're talking about Amy being sad.
There's a little exchange about Mikey. Because it's still lobster night.
It's still lobster night.
Somehow.
There's a lot of lobster nights.
It's not. And Ray, it turns out, has hidden Mike
in the wine cellar.
And he's going to go get him.
Because they're running out of lobsters. They need one more. They know Mikey's around.
Even though there's like one right there.
They want the big one. They want the big one.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't want the big one? They make a joke
about... I'm not looking at the camera. Are you showing me puppetry of the penis?
No,
again?
I'm not.
Okay, just wondering. Out of the gutter, Emily. Out of the gutter. Okay. So there's a joke about how is Ray gonna sew little mittens onto his lobster?
There's some joke about that. And
which is an adorable image.
But ultimately, Ray offers to buy him, and it's $12 a pound, and that's just too much.
$60.
That's just too much. I mean, it's 1993. He's a sous chef in a Italian restaurant, a family-owned Italian restaurant. He's not making that an hour. Like, he's not making $12 an hour.
$126. He's like, I could get me some AirPods, or I could save Mikey, who I've been hanging out with for days and is the closest thing I have to a character who's ever going to interact with me on this show. I'm going to get the AirPods. Yeah. Okay. So then, Josh and Leo are out back.
And they're arguing, right? Leo's giving him a hard time.
Joe sees it. Leo is mad that Josh stood up his cousin, which is also very sweet. So we are not actually doing
we're not doing bros before hoes.
Right.
Yes.
Which It's kind of funny because that is all of Danny Masterson's friends. All of his friends support him being a rapist. Ashton Kutcher. Who else?
Vilmer. Apparently, he was also a sex pest, right?
I told everybody about that fucking those dudes on that show because they don't act past it. It's just who they are on the thing, and you're just like, oh. Anyway, okay. But they're back by the dumpsters, and this is the scene. It's a dumpster. It's not out back of anything. It's not on the back lot. It's in a sound stage. They built a dumpster. They built a street set. It's terrible. It looks like, at best, it would be the location for like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles commercial.
Nice.
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
For Pizza Hut. It's a Pizza Hut tie-in commercial. Okay. But instead, no, it's where we're having this climactic scene about Josh bringing back the lug wrench. And
the funniest scene that Joe has is saying, so you've stood up my daughter and now you're handing me this heavy metal tool
in a dark alley.
Does that sound good? I thought that was funny.
Yes. And so then Josh was like, hey man, you didn't want me to take her out in the first place. I saw your face. And Joe's like, that's not the point. And it's like, does Leo say, I'm not your friend anymore, you're just bad news? Or does
I think Josh... he says that before
that,
because he leaves, so Joe and Josh can have this scene together,
this father-son scene.
Yes.
So Josh is now upset because he's like, I was worried if I went out with your daughter you wouldn't be my friend anymore. You just thought I was bad news, like everybody says. I'd never get to hang out in the garage. I'd never get to see that plane that nobody's ever going to see on this show.
Yeah.
And then Joe's like, so you dumped my daughter for me? And he's just like, I mean, hey, Peter Onorati was a football player and a successful businessman. Getting this level of smoke up the ass, Peter Onorati is just, he looks so like he essays the role perfectly.
Yeah.
Josh is like, I mean, no, but yeah, and it's just very, weird. I wish you were my stepdad, Joe.
Yeah, it is. You had said like they're having a father-son moment. It does kind of feel like Joe is being nicer to this kid than he is to his own kids.
Yep. You've met his own kids.
Yeah.
Josh is the least annoying kid on this show so far.
Yeah.
Amy's like close, just, because sliding scale, but Josh wins at this point.
Yeah.
Tell Amy I'm sorry. And then Joe's like, you can tell her yourself, Josh, because you can call her.
Yeah.
And Josh is like, wow, Dad, I mean, Joe. Would you like to eat, Josh? And then Joe makes him a sandwich.
It's nice. It's a nice little moment. Again, we don't know anything about this kid's home life.
Well, he's apparently hungry. So that's fucked that Sandy was like, I don't like you having the poor kid in the house. He's always hungry. Found him in my panty drawer.
That would be a problem. Having a teenage boy rifling through your panty
Based
drawer.
on last episode, the problem would be when he stopped doing it. Okay.
I was beautiful.
Daddy Master said I was. Okay. What happens if I ask Amy out again? And Joe's like, hey now, Amy's dad's only a great guy once.
Yeah. But he does say that's up to Amy.
Right. But yes, so it's very...
But it's like, watch your ass, kid, because if you fuck up...
This is the most wholesome the show's ever gotten, even more so than the telescope.
Yeah.
Because the telescope one was really forced. This is the most
he doesn't have to be nice to this kid who he doesn't know.
He has no vested interest in being nice to this kid.
Yeah.
Except that he's a narcissist and this kid is blowing fucking smoke up his ass.
Yeah.
So the end, ? No, we can't get that fucking lucky. Instead, we've got to have a scene where it's Joe and Sandy talking about what they're going the deal for.
Oh, they've got this
pull the plug.
Elaborate plan when they can pull the plug. And it's all about, if you do the most annoying thing and I don't stand up and smack you, you can pull the plug. Like, there's no hope for me. And it's like, these people not only hate their children, they hate each other.
Yes.
Why are they married? Because they're DTF?
Yes. Because and he's hot. He's her Bruce. He's her boss. Oh God, at least she doesn't call him her boss. That is not a zero possibility that we could be watching this show and she calls him the boss all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But no, all sitcom, any situation comedy that isn't like something weird, or not weird, but isn't like whatever this new phase of sincere sitcoms is, your Kims, your Shits, your Ted Lassos, things like that. All of them are basically the straights are not okay me. And that's the joke. These shows are about how the straights aren't okay, but it's okay because you're probably white and you still can, call the cops on black bird watchers. So sorry, we watched The Nightingale last night and I have so many thoughts about the button to kill every white person that we should just be pushing all the time, just in case it starts working, just repeatedly. Great fucking movie, everybody, by the Babadook lady. It's really fucking intense. Second, I don't know if it's the second most intense thing I've ever seen, but since I last saw Texas Chainsaw, this is second to that. Yeah, it's fun. Don't. If you're a Babadook fan, know what you're getting into. Okay. Anyway, but yes. So what is Joe going to do though to annoy her to the point of
I don't even remember
clipping his toenails in front of her or something like that? I don't actually know your experience with that with your spouse. Does your husband weaponize his toenail clipping to make your life unpleasant?
It stays in the bathroom.
It's not. He can.
We don't share the bathroom together. So whatever happens in there happens in there. And
the manscaping is, you just get to see the product. You just get to see the final product. You got to shave. You got to manscape to get that angle. Where did the penis even go, Emily? Where is the even penis in that?
This is called Other Woman. He's literally turning his genitals into a vagina. I'll send you the steps.
So yes, if you clipping your toenails doesn't wake me up, you can pull the plug.
Yeah. And what is his for her? If she talks about somebody's wedding.
2 months. She's got to be in the coma for 2 months. I don't think there was a time limit for her. He also says, no. So in his run up to his thing, he says the doctors say I'm dead. This says I'm dead. The Pope says I'm dead. So that's important because she adds Pope later to establish she is a good Catholic slut. So fucking problematic. Just even God damn, the world really sucks, everybody. It's just an intersection of so much garbage at once. Okay. So she's like, yes, and I want the Pope to say I'm dead too. Then you come in and you say, my cousin's wedding shower is this weekend. Or no, this is for him.
Yeah.
So she comes in and she's like, my cousin's wedding shower is this weekend, and I'm making the pasta salad. And Joe interrupts her to go, and I reach up and pull the plug myself.
Yeah.
And then they say, deal. Oh, this is where
he says, if I don't pull the plug myself, then you can do it.
And this is where Sandy's like, wait, I want the Pope too. Because she's walking away to get the ringing phone, which is Josh for Amy. You watched this today.
I know. I forgot that I thought that Amy ran in to get the phone.
This is some good shit. This is where they got the idea for the Marvel tags. Josh and Amy are talking, and so Amy's like, oh, right. Then no possible way. She hangs up the phone and she's like,
it's more than that though. It's like, you think that you can stand me up and then you can come and ask me out again. And I'm just going to say, yes. How dare you? Blah, blah. She's like tearing him a new one. She's tearing him a new one.
It would have been inappropriate for me to do that scene.
Yeah. And then she hangs up the phone and she's like, oh, and runs away.
This is an audio medium. Emily just said, oh my God, he still likes me, and runs away. And then Joe and Sandy look at each other like, oh, this is going to be a wild season, folks.
I wish they had done the freeze frame thing at the end of the episode with the parents like,
this show doesn't deserve freeze frames, okay?
Hey, remember when we watched Police Squad? That was good.
Hey, remember when we watched Automan? That was better than this. It's a lot more fun to make fun of Desi Arnaz Jr. being a showbiz baby than it is to have to be like, so it's like super sexist, and that guy's a rapist, and yeah. And this was still the 90s, folks. This was still the 90s.
Well, I'll look for another Desi Arnaz Jr. show.
You have already told me what we're watching, and you're not going to give that up because there are
it'll be good
dudes in it.
Oh my God.
Regardless of that, I'm going to have the greatest time talking about that show. Yep,
me too.
There you go. You and your aunt.
I love Andrew Scott. Who doesn't love him?
Because I've only seen him on Sherlock, and Sherlock kind of sucks.
You've not seen Fleabag?
I haven't. No, because it was not the right time to watch it. Okay. Wow, just make all the faces. Even though she replaced Shia LaBeouf in Indiana Jones 5, I can still like her. I'm kidding. That's like, she seems to be the most obviously talented person to come around in a while.
Yeah,
and it's just like, yeah.
She's pretty great.
Like Greta Gerwig can't act that well. Like, I like Greta Gerwig, all right, but there's a reason she directs movies and writes them and shit. It's because everything's not a montage sequence with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Like, I love Greta Gerwig, I do, but it's not the same thing.
Next week's episode is episode 6. Thank goodness we're on the decline. It is called, let me wait for the internet to load, The Invisible Man. Oh God. This is the
pause. Wait. I'm going to tell you this so you know this before you read me the description.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to cut this, but we should leave it because I'm gonna mention my degree. I was once in a writing class where we had the rewrite somebody's story.
Mm-hmm.
And a discarded story, and somebody gave me a relatively famous, successful author who is not on big presses, but is in your library probably, because she's in mine. So you do have to cut that. No, you don't have to cut that. But
I have to cut you saying you have to cut that.
Good practice. You get to keep all the laughing. You do keep all the laughing, right?
Most of it, yeah.
She gave me this story about a Black female bartender's relationship with her not a bum dad being one of her customers at this fancy bar where she was trying to navigate being a Black woman. Oh. The author was not a Black woman. I wrote that as a sitcom episode of Cheers, in which Diane is in a creative writing class and has written this story, and everybody at the bar talks about how problematic it is. And the running joke is, it takes Cliff until the end of the episode to get it, but he finally does. Because we had been marathoning Cheers, and I was also reading Ken Levine's blog about how hard writing a sitcom is. And I'm like, bullshit, you could write one of these in 3 hours. And I was like, I'm going to figure out it. Because I was like, I'm not doing this fucking story. Like, there's no way, I'm not converting the races.
Yeah.
This is not a thing we're doing. I was like, nope. And so I drafted it in 3 hours. I'm like,
That's
there's no
nice.
fucking way it takes that long. And I'm like, yes, there are only so many jokes. Like, that's only funny to a certain subset of people. It would not be an episode of Cheers.
Yeah.
It could be an episode of a fucking HBO sitcom, I'm sure. Like, I could get away with it now.
Yeah.
But yeah. Or
Ooh, when
maybe
is there going to be a Cheers reboot?
during Obama's second term, I could have gotten them.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because people, racism was over. Before Trayvon, I could have gotten away with that. Okay, you're cutting all of this sad shit. Leave in the stuff about my story. Sorry. This is why recording on Fridays is going to be bad, because I took gummies. So
fun. I'm leaving that in. I can't take gummies because I have to drive later.
This is my one day off before my Saturday to Thursday, including me being in charge the next 2 days.
Nice.
So
fun.
Yes, and I get to the complaint. So you do have to take all this.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just end the episode.
Let's wrap it up
about the complaint. Okay.
So episode 6 of Joe's life is called The Invisible Man. We'll be watching for next week. The synopsis on IMDb says Joe thinks Sandy is taking him for granted, but she takes no notice. Meanwhile, Paul is failing in algebra. I'm very excited to see this. See if there are any special guest stars.
There is an implication. It's a reference to Ralph Ellison. I quit the show.
I don't think it is. Catherine Lang plays the school teacher. She looks familiar, but I couldn't tell you what I saw her from, what I've seen her in.
I'm going to leave it as a treat.
Okay. Well, thank you all for listening. See you next week when we discuss Joe's Life, episode 6, The Invisible Man. Andrew, see you in television land.
See you in television land, Emily.